Lord have mercy. Ladies and gentlemen, we're doing a little segment called Wildwood at Home. And basically, what's happening is I'm just calling up some of my buddies and we're doing little Zoom chats, is what we're doing, is what's happening. And we have today one of my favorite guitar players and guitar buddies, Josh Smith. You know, Josh, I have a hard time saying your first and last name in succession. Do other people have this problem, or is it just me? I always say Josh Smith. I have to say Josh Smith. I have to differentiate the first and last name. They can't run together. It's very difficult.
For an incredibly common name, it isn't one that rolls off the tongue very well.
Well, how you doing out there? Last time I saw you, we were out there doing some recording at your lair, and we were very much looking forward to flying out there in the middle of March to continue our activities. And then the pestilence. The pestilence hit.
Yeah.
And remember, we were texting back and forth, and I said, I think my quote was, I think this is going to go from zero to show in about 48 hours. And I hate to say it, but I was correct. I'm not often correct, as my wife will be the first to attest to. But how you doing out there? What you been doing during this pestilence? Obviously, the recording thing has been put on hold, and except for maybe some fellow Quarantinians that you're able to sheath accordingly so that they don't spread pathogens in your lair. What you been doing?
Well, I was up until 2 days ago growing the beard in a prodigious fashion for the first time.
Yes.
But I finally lost faith in it and took it out the other day.
Well, they itch.
Yeah, they
itch, and then God knows what kind of creatures start lurking in there.
Well, it stopped going this way and just going this way, and I was like, yeah, it's not a good look.
Kind of a lumberjack thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So, other than the beard, I've been cooking every day, which is kind of nice. And I've been having little spurts of productivity. I'll go 5 days with not wanting to do anything, and then I'll have a day where it's like, oh, I wrote a song today, or I tracked on something I needed to do. People have been sending me some tracks to play on. And I have had one client come over a couple of times whose record I'm in the middle of producing. And we wear masks when we're in the same room. And then he goes in the other room. He's been singing. So we've been separated by walls and glass and all that.
It's a bizarre time, is it not? It's
unlike any other time. I mean, there's nothing to compare it to. It's just, it's really just crazy times.
I remember my grandpa was, I guess he was 16 in 1918. And I always remember the family tale about how, he was kind of orphaned at a younger age. So he was living on his own at age 16 in Milwaukee, the big city. And he went out to visit his sister for Christmas. And it was right during the pandemic of 1918. And they wouldn't let him in the house. And we always thought, boy, that sounds really kind of harsh. And now you totally get it. That was a thing. It's like, oh, you're from the city. We have no idea where you've been, what's been going on. You ain't coming in. So yeah, it puts a whole different spin on anything you've heard about, old family tales from back in the day or whatnot. But certainly, I mean, my kids, when this first started to happen, they're like, has anything like this ever happened before? I'm like, no, we are in uncharted territory as far as anyone we know that's alive right now. So yeah, it's bizarre. And certainly all the gigs have dried up.
Yeah. I mean, as far as long-term outcome, I don't know who's going to get hurt harder than the creative, especially musicians who tour for the most part and do those types of things. I mean, even when gigs resume, who's going to want to be there?
Right.
Right. I was thinking last night, I was literally 5 a.m. because I don't sleep anymore. And it was like, is there going to be such thing as you sold out the gig anymore?
Right. It's bizarre. And then you wonder if, since there'll be less people presumably at these gigs, if venues will by default do a virtual attendance thing as well. And whether that will be for a specific amount, or is every gig going to be co-opted with some kind of virtual tip jar? You know what I mean? You wonder what's going to happen in that regard. But
maybe like the the standards for what a platinum record is, it'll keep coming down, and then I can sell out Red Rocks now because maybe
there you go.
1,100
Perfect.
people or something like that.
I sold out Red Rocks with a hearty 45 heads.
Exactly.
And they were into it. Online, there were
yeah.
tens of thousands.
Yeah.
But we had 45 in there.
Yeah.
So we actually have a tour kind of intersecting, lining up. Dudley is, boy, I'll tell you what, he is crossing his fingers and saying his prayers that it actually happens. And it's slated for late October. And then you're slated for late October. And then we're going to go early November. And there's some crisscrossing in there. My son is like, Dad, is that going to happen? Is that going to happen? I need to make arrangements. I mean, I might have to get another job. It's like, no one knows what's going on yet, man. We have no idea. It may happen, and it may be half full houses. We have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If it does happen, like you just said, it's like, what if the clubs only allow 25% occupancy or 50% occupancy? It's like, well, then everybody better buy a t-shirt.
Exactly correct. Or maybe we can add a meal. Maybe you can get your cooking chops up, and we'll play and then serve a delicious repast for $100 a head.
Every gig is New Year's Eve.
Well, you did a fun thing on the old Instagram. It's always a weird thing. I know you're the same way. It's like if you feel like doing an Instagram post, you just kind of turn the camera, you play for a minute, and you post it for the fun of it, and what happens. But you did this fun, just play a 12-bar blues in the key of A, and it was a fun thing to see how many people did it and did different things with it. So that was pretty damn cool. Were you pleased with the way that all kind of unfolded?
I was, for the most part, almost everybody I asked participated, except for the few stragglers. And it was very interesting to see the differences in approaches. And don't think I can't tell who just turned on the camera and who did 50 takes.
Right.
Who didn't follow the rules and play with backing tracks or did this or did that. But just to hear, it's like, the blues where we come from, it's like, this is the foundation of literally everything we do as an improviser.
Right.
So to hear all these guys improvise, some who are not blues guys in any way, and just kind of hear how no matter what, it is always the backbone. And I really wanted to hear what people came up with on the fly without any, instruction. And it was nice to see. And the community part of it was the best part.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, to your point, I mean, it's interesting. Even people that say, well, I don't really play blues, but it was cool because, as you say, it's in there, because you can't be a contemporary instrumentalist on the guitar without having digested it at some point by one of your influences. So it's lurking in there somewhere.
Yeah, if you like those things called melodies, you probably use that little 5-note scale. And, it's kind of a equal opportunist.
Absolutely.